The scream tore through the quiet cul-de-sac like a knife through silk. I froze, my coffee mug halfway to my lips, the bitter aroma of dark roast curling into the morning air. Across the street, Karen's voice, shrill, unmistakable, cut through the birdsong. "Who did this? Who dared?" she wailed, standing in her pristine driveway, hands clawing at her perfectly coiffed hair. Her mailbox, a gleaming metal monstrosity she'd bragged about at every homeowners association meeting, was now a solid block of gray concrete, sealed shut like a tomb. I smirked, leaning against my porch railing, the wood creaking under my weight. She'd messed with the wrong neighbor. It started 3 months ago, when packages began vanishing from my porch. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a delivery driver dropping boxes at the wrong house, maybe. But then it happened again. And again. A new pair of sneakers for my son, Ethan, gone. A book I'd pre-ordered, poof. A care package from my mom, stuffed with her famous oatmeal cookies, stolen before I could even smell the cinnamon. Each time, I'd check my doorbell camera, but the footage was useless, the angle just shy of catching the thief. My blood boiled, a slow simmer that grew hotter with every missing box. This wasn't just theft, it was personal. Someone was watching, waiting, preying on my life's little joys. I wasn't alone in my suspicions. The neighborhood whispered about Karen, the homeowners association president who ruled our street like a suburban dictator. She'd fine you for a lawn 2 inches too tall, cite you for a mailbox that wasn't regulation height, or knock on your door at 7 a.m. to complain about your trash cans being unsightly. Her smile was all teeth, her eyes cold as the ice in her daily iced latte. She'd moved into the neighborhood 2 years ago, a whirlwind of complaints and passive-aggressive notes, and nobody dared cross her. But I'd seen her linger near my porch one evening, her gaze flicking to a package before she sauntered off, her heels clicking like a metronome on the sidewalk. I couldn't prove it, yet, but I knew. Karen was the thief. The air was thick with tension at the next homeowners association meeting. I sat in the back of the community center, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the faint smell of stale coffee lingering. Karen stood at the podium, her voice dripping with fake concern as she droned on about community standards. I clenched my fists, my nails biting into my palms. Ethan, my 10-year-old, had cried when his sneakers didn't arrive for his first basketball practice. I wasn't here to listen to her nonsense, I was here to watch her, to catch a slip. And then it happened. A neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, a sweet older woman with a thick accent, raised her hand. "My daughter sent me a quilt," she said, her voice trembling. "It was on my porch, then gone. Someone took it." The room went quiet, the kind of quiet that hums with unspoken accusations. Karen's face tightened, just for a second, before she plastered on that smile. "Oh, Maria, I'm sure it was just a mix-up," she said, too smoothly. I caught her glance dart to me, then away. Gotcha, I thought. That night, I couldn't sleep. The creak of the house settling, the distant hum of a neighbor's AC unit, the faint scent of jasmine from the backyard, it all felt too loud, too alive. I stared at the ceiling, replaying Karen's smug face. I needed proof. I needed to catch her red-handed. That's when I met Jake, the neighborhood's resident oddball. He was new, a quiet guy in his 30s who lived at the end of the street in a house that looked like it hadn't been painted since the 90s. I ran into him at the gas station, his truck loaded with bags of concrete mix, the kind you'd use for a patio or a fence post. "Big project?" I asked, half joking. He grinned, a lopsided thing that didn't reach his eyes. "You could say that," he said, his voice low, like he was sharing a secret. "Heard about your package problem. Karen's been sniffing around my porch too." My heart skipped. Jake wasn't just a neighbor, he was an ally. We hatched a plan over greasy diner coffee the next morning, the clink of mugs and the sizzle of bacon grounding us. Jake had a spare security camera, a tiny thing he'd rigged to catch wildlife in his backyard. We'd plant it on my porch, hidden in a potted plant, angled to catch the thief. But that wasn't enough. Jake leaned forward, his eyes glinting. "She needs to learn a lesson," he whispered. "Something she won't forget." I hesitated, the weight of his words settling like a stone in my gut. Revenge wasn't my style, but justice? That I could get behind. We agreed, catch her, expose her, make her regret it. The trap was set. I ordered a decoy package, a cheap box of kitchen gadgets, and left it on my porch. The camera blinked to life, its lens hidden among the geraniums. That night, I sat in my living room, the glow of my laptop screen casting shadows on the walls. Ethan was asleep upstairs, his soft snores filtering through the baby monitor we still used when he was anxious. I refreshed the camera feed, my heart pounding. At 11:47 p.m., there she was. Karen, in a black hoodie, creeping onto my porch like a cat burglar. Her hands grabbed the box, quick and practiced, and she was gone. My breath caught, a mix of fury and triumph. I had her. The next morning, I uploaded the footage to the neighborhood group chat. The responses flooded in, shock, anger, a few, "I knew it," Mrs. Delgado called me, her voice thick with tears. "That quilt was my mother's pattern," she said. Karen took it. My chest ached, but the plan wasn't done. Jake had been busy. He'd seen the footage too, and while I was rallying the neighbors, he was out in the dark, his truck parked a block away. I didn't ask questions when he texted me at 2 a.m., "It's done." I didn't need to. By sunrise, Karen's scream woke the neighborhood. I stepped onto my porch, the cool morning air brushing my skin, and watched her meltdown. The concrete in her mailbox wasn't just a prank, it was a symbol. She'd built her little empire on control, on taking what wasn't hers, and now her precious mailbox, her pride and joy, was useless. Neighbors gathered, whispering, pointing. Mrs. Delgado stood beside me, her eyes fierce. "She deserves worse," she muttered. I nodded, but my stomach twisted. Had we gone too far? Karen's face was red, her voice hoarse as she yelled about lawsuits, about vandalism. But the evidence was undeniable. The group chat buzzed with demands for her to step down as Homeowners Association president. By noon, she'd posted a tearful apology video, claiming it was a misunderstanding, that she'd meant to return the packages. Nobody bought it. The police showed up that afternoon, a stolen quilt and a pair of sneakers in their evidence bags. Karen's reign was over. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I sat on my porch with Ethan. He was eating one of my mom's cookies from a new care package, crumbs dusting his chin. "You got her, Mom," he said, his grin wide. I ruffled his hair, but my smile was heavy. Jake drove by, his truck rumbling, and gave me a nod. We hadn't just caught a thief, we'd taken back our neighborhood. But as I watched the stars emerge, the faint scent of concrete dust still lingering in the air, I wondered if justice always felt this bittersweet. Karen had lost everything, her power, her reputation, her perfect little world. And yet, the weight of what we'd done clung to me, like the echo of her scream in the morning stillness. Sometimes, winning doesn't feel like winning. But it feels right.